Sharks have a week dedicated to him. If opportunity knocks and he's not home, opportunity waits. He is the life of parties he has never attended. If he punched you in the face, you would have to fight off a strong urge to thank him. Mosquitoes refuse to bite him, strictly out of respect. His mother has a tattoo that reads, "Son." He once parallel parked a train. If he were to mispronounce your name, you'd feel compelled to change it. His personality is so magnetic, he's unable to carry credit cards. Even his enemies list him as their emergency contact number. He is the most interesting man in the world.
That's the last time I don't personally check the intro video before Father's Day weekend. The staff came into my office earlier this week and said, "Pastor, we need a picture behind your desk." "Oh, what for?" "Oh, it's your intro video. It's going to be really good." Last night I watched that, I'm like, how do you go come out after that? I just feel like I'm just going to smile, say, "God bless, let's close in prayer, and we'll get you out of here right now." Well, happy Father's Day. An exciting weekend to all you dads out there. Especially exciting that one of my good friends is sitting here in the VIP section. Chris, that's one of my small groupers right there. Something's going to happen this service. I just have a feeling. So dads, man, do you remember your first Father's Day? Man, what an amazing feeling. Mine happened on June 19th, 2008. My oldest boy, Ian, was born into this world. And I remember how special I felt my first Father's Day. I was like, yes, we're going to do this thing, right? You have these expectations as a father that you're like, oh, man, I'm going to teach him how to ride a bike, without the training wheels, and we're going to learn how to play catch, and we're going to stay up late at night, and I'm going to show him the real Star Wars movies that start, with the 5, 6, and 7, right, And anyways, I had these high expectations, but sometimes our expectations don't always meet reality, right? How many of you are celebrating your first Father's Day this weekend? Anybody celebrating your first Father's Day? First Father's Day. Good, I'm not going to ruin it for anybody. Whew. Okay, so I walked into fatherhood thinking, man, this is going to be amazing. Okay, one of my favorite things growing up was crawling into mom and dad's bed. They had a water bed. It was the most cool thing ever. And I have this magical place called my mom and dad's bed that it just seemed warmer and it was way more comfortable. You could sleep way more easier. So when I entered into fatherhood, this is what I had, right? I'm like, man, I'm going to have this child. They're going to crawl in bed with me. We're going to sleep peacefully. It's going to be beautiful, right? But my expectation was not the reality. Look this is what fatherhood really is. You don't sleep when they get in bed with you. Their elbows and their knees are like magnets to the softest parts of your body, and they will poke in there, and you will never get more sleep once you enter into fatherhood. It's amazing, right? How about mealtime? You know what I really look forward to? Airplane. Come on, dads. You take a little bit. All right, here we go. Right? And it's amazing where reality, you start off with just a little bit of baby food, and all of a sudden this happens. It's all over them. It's all over you. It's on a 5-foot radius around their little chair. And you're like, it's like the loaves and the fishes. It just keeps multiplying. You start off with this little thing, and it's just like, and next thing you know, you even get it on yourself. You got to watch out for those kids. They'll get stuff on you. I'm telling you right now, I have experience today. How about messes? Now, this one I did know. I knew that kids are messy. I had an expectation of, listen, we're going to have messes. We are going to work together. What do we all say? Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So we're going to have these messes we'll pick up as a family. And then you let your wife go on one women's retreat, and you walk around the corner to this. And you're like, oh, my goodness. Oh, your mom is never going to let herself go out of the house. We got to clean this up, right? One of the most favorite things I was looking forward to was shoulder rides. Man, I am 6'9". My kids are gonna have the best shoulder rides, right? And so I think of this beautiful picture of my kids on my shoulders having fun. And then you're in that moment, and all of a sudden you feel that warm sensation going down your back. And you're like, am I sweating? Go! Oh, get him up, get him up. Ah! Honey, take this baby. Ah! Right? And so dads, I think that all of us can agree that sometimes our expectations of fatherhood are a little bit optimistic and not quite what they were when reality hits, right? I'd even go as far as to say this, guys. We never plan on being bad dads. We never plan on not doing the right thing in our relationship with our wife, in treating our kids right. But somehow, the expectations of being the good dad, the one that is there all the time, that builds the great relationship, that's there when his kids need him, sometimes my expectation of me as a fatherhood, I end up falling way short with reality. And somehow I enter into this place where I'm like, man, Jay, what are you doing? You need to pull yourself together, right? Dads, have you ever had that moment where you're like, man, my expectation is not reality right now? And what we need to do is we need to make some adjustments. But you know, all too often, we try and make too big of an adjustment. You guys ever have a New Year's resolution before? Right? You're going in one direction and all of a sudden New Year's comes around and somehow we all go, I'm gonna go the complete opposite way, right? It's like, man, I am not being the father that I wanna be, but today that changes, here we go. I've had bad experiences with going 180 degrees the wrong way because eventually you end up back. Any of you guys ever heard of the South Beach diet? Right? No carbs. If you're not careful, you'll end up right back on the North Beach where it's all carbs, okay? I want you to know that. I had a friend one time. Or how about that new thing, the keto diet? I'm telling you, if you try and do the keto diet, somehow it turns into the Cheeto diet. I'm just like, man. So dads, here's what I want to say. There is no silver bullet that can change your fatherhood, that can change your marriage, that can change your relationship with your kids. There is not one family memory, one vacation, one major change in your life that is going to affect overall your kids' lives, your fatherhood. What happens is sometimes we miss the mark. Right? We as dads, we're trying to aim and hit the best that we can be, right? But sometimes, anybody get nervous around here? Let's make it an online experience. We shoot, ooh, that was actually pretty good. Hey, by the way, I want you to know, you notice what this gun says on it? Dad. Yeah, I purchased it off of Amazon. It's meant to be very accurate long range because I have a lot of children. And when there are darts flying, I want to be able to aim and hit them, right? Sometimes, though, dads, we miss the mark. And we notice that we aren't being the best dad. Do you know what I'm talking about? Man, sometimes these things misfire, Chris. I am so sorry. Dads, though, here's the deal. It's the same true in shipping. If you turn a boat just 2 degrees when you're crossing the world's oceans, it will change thousands of miles. And dads, if we will make little systematic changes, not 180s, but little systematic changes, we'll end up way further down the road of fatherhood in a better place than we ever thought. And so this weekend, as we celebrate Father's Day, I want to celebrate 5 degrees of change. 5 degrees, little adjustments that we're going to make a change together. I'm calling it halftime adjustments. Here's the deal. In any sporting event, for most all of them, there's a point and break in the game that people can regather their thoughts, coaching staffs get together, they come back and they make little tweaks, little adjustments that happen in the game that will end up leading to winning the game. And so I want to talk to you about halftime adjustments. There are 2 teams this year that are renowned for halftime adjustments. The first one, love them or hate them you might, is the New England Patriots. Right? I promise you love them or hate them. But you have to admit that the Brady-Belichick era has been phenomenal in halftime adjustments. Let's just say this, stats don't lie. If you go in ahead of the Patriots by 14 or less points at halftime, you still have a 60% chance of losing that game. That's how good their halftime adjustments are. But my favorite, though, is our boys in blue. Oh, our Warriors. Now, I'm still in a period of mourning. I did not realize that there was a team in the North until this year. Let's just say that. And if they would have played my Warriors team, we would have smoked them. But somehow injuries prevailed. But listen, here's what the Warriors are renowned for. What? The third quarter. Steve Kerr and his coaching staff have done such a phenomenal job. But everybody thinks that it's just like massive, like they go in man-to-man defense and they go in and they make some halftime adjustments, they're coming out in zone. Guys, it's not that big a change in halftime. At halftime, it might last from 12 to 15 minutes. Half of that time, players are getting taped up, adjustments, they're getting some food, they're checking their phones, they're getting ready, and the coaching staff's getting together, and they come back with just a few adjustments. Now, here's my favorite part about Steve Kerr. Sometimes he's a little fiery, but their coaching staff has a unique thing. They like positive reinforcement. In fact, their coaching staff always picks about 10 to 11 videos that they show their team at halftime that a lot of times is highlighting good things that were done, that what they want to do is capitalize. So they're saying, hey, you see right here, when we get into this zone right here, this play is option right here. This is our number one option, this is number two. They're highlighting weaknesses through their players' positives, right? They're showing things that are going to work or things that did work against them that they're going to capitalize on. And so my first degree of change, dads, is we need to catch our family doing good. We need to catch your family in the act of doing good. What do I mean by this? Do you know how easy it is to have a negative experience in your family? I'm telling you, with 5 kids, it's very easy for that limited amount of time when I come home from work that I end up coming in and it's like, hey, don't hit your sister. Hey, sit down at the table. Did I teach you to do that? No. Hey, we are a family that shares. We need to share with each other. Oh my goodness, will you go outside and bounce on the trampoline, please, right? And I'm not saying that's the way it always is, but guys, is it not easy to get into a little bit of negativity, right? And how often, if we really look at our interactions with our kids, how much are we finding them doing the right thing? A lot of times what we're doing is we're only pointing out what's wrong. And that's not a bad thing, guys. We need to bring some correction, right? But here's the thing, if it's all wrong, all they're hearing is, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing the right thing, and they start to get down and down to where they think that they're a mistake, they're the problem, that they'll never change. We need to find our family doing the right thing. Here's what the Bible says. Proverbs 18:21 says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruits. The tongue has the power of life and death. Let me ask you, moms and dads, this isn't just for dads. Moms, don't check out on me. This is good stuff. Life and death. Are you speaking life into your family, into your marriage, into your children? Or dads, is sometimes we're dealing with the business of life and it comes out a little negative. Another Bible verse in Proverbs says this, words are like healing balm that heal to the soul. Or it's like a double-edged blade that can cut quick to the bone. And honestly, if we take a pulse, dads, moms, sometimes there's a little more death at our house and there's a little more cutting to the bone. And I'm not talking that we have to turn into Captain Positivity. Hey, little Johnny, you just knocked out your sister with the wiffle ball bat, but I did like the way you rolled your wrist and followed through, right? No, I'm not talking about that. We still need to bring correction. But man, catch your kids doing the right thing. Speak it out to them, because I promise you, your kids are doing some things right. And you know what happens when you speak into someone's life, when someone tells you something that you're doing wrong, how good does that make you feel? Does that really make you want to put more effort in? No. But man, when someone comes over and they're like, man, that was amazing. You're awesome. Man, good job. Keep going. Doesn't that not make you go like, oh, yeah, I am going to do that. Yeah, I am going to. And next thing you know, right, it starts on this positive cycle. Catch your family doing right. There once was a great football coach. In fact, one of the best in the NFL that they've ever seen. Led his team to 5 NFL championships in the Super Bowl out of 7 years. But one year, his team, some of the best in the world, found themselves in the Super Bowl, fourth quarter. They were up. Momentum was theirs. They were doing everything right. But in the last moments of the game, the Philadelphia Eagles beat them, and they lost. The best team that was ever going to be had lost the Super Bowl. Now, every team after the big playoffs and it all ends, they have a couple months off. So they go to their couple months of rest. They come back to training camp. Man, they are pumped. They still have some of the best players. They were able to retain everybody. And here they are going to win the next title. And they're waiting for their coach to come in and talk about those little adjustments that are going to be needed to make it another Super Bowl year. And instead, the coach walks in and he says, "Men, this is a football." Now, we're talking about at that point in time, they had 36 players on a team. It was the Green Bay Packers. And one of the brightest coaches in the league walks in to a room full of men that are the best in the world. And he says, "Men, this is a football." And he didn't just stop there. From then on, day after day, he kept coaching the basics. He taught them how to tackle again, how to block, how to pass, how to run the route out, even if you don't get the pass to you. And game after game, they excelled at the basics. And that year, they won against the New York Knicks in the Super Bowl 37-0. And it's the last time that a coach was carried off the field. His name was Vince Lombardi, and he went back to the basics. And dads, I feel like I need to tell you this. All those men knew that that was a football. But dads, this is time. And if we're going to win our families, if we're going to win at this game of fatherhood, time is how we're going to win. We need to invest in our family. Invest in your family. Now, we all know that time's a big deal, right? When we invest, it's how we invest in our marriage. It's how we invest in our kids. It's how we invest in our work. Time is probably the most valuable asset in the world. But men, we need to go back to the basics of time is how we're going to win this game. Let's see what the Bible has to say. Deuteronomy 6, 5-9 says this: "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. These commandments that I give to you today." Do you know that most preachers stop right there? How often have you heard that, right? Man, love the Lord your God with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. But let's look at what it says after that. To be on your hearts, impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. You know what I see all throughout that verse? Time with your kids, time with your family, time. How many of you walk with your children right now? That takes time. How many of you sit down and eat with your children? How many of you go to sleep with your children and wake up with your children and spend time? Man, guys, we have got to win at this because you know what? Time is the currency of children. Do you know that? Time is the currency of children. I guarantee you as a father know that, but do you really know that? And let me tell you, no matter what people say, quantity and quality matter. Quantity and quality matter. And guys, this isn't something you can just make up. You can't just not spend time with your children and then 4 times a year take an epic family vacation and make a few memories that you save on your iPhone. That's not time. Time is that consistency where you make them a priority. Here's the thing. Any of you guys having correction problems at home? You got that kid that's starting not to listen to you? And when you try and correct them, it's pretty tough? I'll tell you what it is. Did you guys know that correction is a withdrawal on your account? Correction is a withdrawal on your parenting account, men and women. And unless you have invested time with your children, you will bankrupt that account. It will go negative. And I don't know about you guys. Have you guys ever made a negative account with a bank? Man, you make one little mistake, and I'm telling you, it goes downhill fast. Every day, things start adding up. Maybe that describes some of your children right now. Maybe things are adding up, and the account is negative. How do you fix that? You got to start putting money in, right? And I promise you, moms and dads, if you haven't hit that moment yet, there are going to be some key moments in your family's lives that unless you have invested, there are going to be corrections that need to be made that are going to change the trajectory and outcome for your kids for forever. Especially in those teenage years where they're starting to really step out on their own. And if you haven't already made the investments, it's going to be really tough because you're not going to be able to speak into their lives and make that correction because you don't have the account in good standing. Time. Thirdly, how many of you guys know that a game is mentally fought? In any sporting event, there's a mental play in there. Just think about some of these names that I mentioned, right? How about Dennis Rodman? An old NBA player, man, he was wild and crazy and outlandish, but man, he would get inside people's heads and make them fall apart, right? Think about some of our warrior defenders. They get inside people's heads and they mess them up. And half the battle, guys, is right here in between the ears. If this ain't right, this ain't gonna be right. Dads, the same thing is true. It's a mental game and you gotta be ready to go. You gotta be in the moment. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to be the best dad. This is worth the price of admission. Did you guys know that men and women have different brains? I'm just telling you right now, let's examine her brain first. This is the female brain. The limited knowledge that I have of it, I will admit. This looks like a ball of yarn. What you'll notice is that every color represents a different thing in life. That could represent marriage, family, finances, her relationship with her mother-in-law. You got all these different things. And what's amazing, guys, this will explain your wife. What's amazing is because everything is intertwined and wrapped together, what happens is when you say, hey, honey, do we have any plans for Tuesday night dinner? Next thing you know, you're not just talking about Tuesday night dinner, you're talking about the PG&E bill that's due, you're talking about your mother's relationship, you're talking about what the kids did at school, and next thing you know, you're talking about your marriage, and all you wanted to talk about was, do we have dinner plans on Tuesday? There's a lot more we could talk about this, but everything's interconnected. We'll go back into it on another message. What I want to talk to you about is the father's brain. Here's the deal. Ladies, pay attention. I'm going to give you gold right now. The father's brain is made up of compartmental boxes. Nothing is allowed to touch. Everything has its very own individual storage bin. And listen, when you're off in your ball of yarn trying to shift topics, he's talking about finances and he's got his financial box and he's just starting to dig it out. And all of a sudden you shift to your mother-in-law's relationship. He's like, whoa, we're in a different box. Oh. Here's the gold. Do you know what one of these boxes is? This one right here. It's his nothing box. Do you want to know what's inside of it? Absolutely nothing. So when he's sitting across the table from you and you're like, hey, what are you thinking about? And he's like, nothing. He's not lying. He's got his nothing box. I'm not joking, actually. This is true. Now listen, here's the thing about a nothing box. Even though it has nothing in it, he is doing something while he's in it. For me, it's being on my computer. It's YouTube, it's video games. It's this innate ability that I have that while there's a lot of pressure in family, relationships, work, finances, whatever it is, that when I open up my nothing box, everything else is packed away, and when I go, all those stresses and strains go, woo, gone. And I can check out for a little while. Here's the thing, when your husband gets stressed out, ladies, he turns to his nothing box. It could be the TV, it could be working outside in the garden, it could be an athletic thing, it could be working in the garage, it could be, I promise you right now, ladies, you hate your husband's nothing box. No, I'm serious. Do you know what it is now? Guys, you got it identified? Here's the thing though, guys. You need your nothing box. It is very healthy for men to have a nothing box. But guys, if we're going to be good fathers, every once in a while, we have to be willing to give up nothing. And we need to be willing to invest in our family. We need to be willing to give up nothing, our nothing box, and invest in family. Here's what I want to say about that. Guys, it's tough because it's really easy to check out. Wives, the way to get your husband out of his nothing box is not to go, why are you on that stupid thing again? Oh my goodness, that's killing me. Will you please come over here and do something? That's not the way to do it. You know the best way my wife can snap me out of my nothing box? When she sits down next to me and she says, hey, what's going on? What are you talking about? Nothing, right? And she's like, no, you're in your nothing box a lot. In fact, you've got to be stressed out because every day after the kids go to bed, you're like checking immediately into your nothing box. What's up? How can I help? How can I encourage you? Right? And so dads, our third degree of change is we have to be willing to give up nothing. Degree number 4 of change. We have to own the fourth quarter. Did you hear me? We have to own the fourth quarter. Games are won and lost in the fourth quarter. It's when you're at your tiredest, you're exhausted, you have nothing left in your tank, and yet there's still one more quarter that is going to decide the game between winning and losing. I had the privilege of playing NCAA football, not Division I, Division II. And I remember my very first practice that I walked into. I'm not going to scare anybody, but it's called Hell Week. It's the worst week of your life. You have 2-a-day practices. Each day it's a 3-hour practice in the morning. You spend the afternoon trying to recover and get ready for practice number 2, 3 hours. Then you watch film and you get to bed early. And then you do it all over the next day. And it's amazing in 1 week how fast you can get into shape with 2-a-days. My first practice, 3 hours long. I am gassed. I have nothing left in the tank. Coach blows the whistle and everybody lines up on the sideline at the end of a 3-hour practice. And he yells, offense, hand on the line. Put your hand on the line. We started running gassers. You start at the side of the football field. You go to the first hashtag, back, to the second hashtag, back. You go to the end line, back. And when you cross the line, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to cross that line, or you make the whole team run another one. And when the offense crosses the line, coach yells, defense, hand on the line. You get 1 minute and 30 break before the next one you go again. We run 11 gassers. I am on the sideline with a bunch of my other freshman teammates, and we are like, oh, dry heaving on the sideline in between because you're out of it. I mean, it is so hard. And coach double blows the whistle. Toot, 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 toot. Bring it in, man. And all the freshmen on the side of the line start running towards coach. And our captains down on the other side, on the seniors, they look down there and they say, get back on the line. Coach, we want another. And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you running the same gas as I am? And coach says, no, it's hot. I ran you too much. Let's go in. Tweet, 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 tweet. And then the captains again, coach, we want another. Coach says, no, I'm not giving you any more. I'm turning it in. It's up to you guys. The coaching staff walks off the field. The seniors take the field, and they go, offense, hand on the line. And the offense gets their hand on the line, and we start running another one, and another one, and another one. And our seniors are saying, in the fourth quarter, we will outwork. We will outplay every team. We have a saying on this team, every man, every play, all day, hand on the line. 9 more gassers. And the next practice, more gassers. And the next practice, more gassers. But we struck fear in our teammates because when the third quarter buzzer hit, all of us on our team with everything we had would rise up and we'd yell, 4, 4, 4, 4. Because we knew we would own the fourth quarter. And in 4 years, championship after championship after championship after championship, the 4 leading scorers in our conference and in the nation, 4 championships, because every game, before we win or lost, we would outscore our opponents. We would outdefend them. You want to know what the average was? 4 years I played, we would outscore opponents between 160 and 180 points. Because we knew that every man, every play, all day, 4! And what I gotta tell you, dads, is you gotta win in the fourth quarter. Moms, you gotta win in the fourth quarter. When you pull in the driveway and you are tired and you are exhausted and it's been a tough day at work, you need to say, 4! We're gonna win the fourth quarter. That's what I wanna see us dads doing, because I gotta tell you guys, otherwise, we lose. Can I tell you, every dad, this is what it is. At halfway through the day, I'm dreaming of what I'm gonna do with my kids. I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do when I get home? I'm gonna play a board game. We're gonna go bounce on the trampoline. We're gonna play some wiffle ball in the backyard. But something happens between the end of the day and my commute. And I pull in that driveway and all I can do is eke in. I'm like, And next thing I know, I've sat on the couch, or I've hung out with my wife, or I've just sat there and hung out with the kids, but I haven't done anything. And I've given up my fourth quarter. Here's what the Bible says. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians. I want to introduce you to something, men and women. I want to introduce you to my rear view mirror talk. And when you pull in the driveway at home, I want you to pull up there, and I want you to stop, turn off the car, find yourself in the rear view mirror, and you say, 4! 4! Every man, every woman, every play, all day, 4! This is where I win my family. This is where I'm a father. This is what my children are gonna remember of me. Dads, we got to win the rear view mirror. We got to win the fourth quarter. Last, as we move towards a wrap. Fatherhood has a cost. What do you need to give up? Fatherhood has a cost. What do you need to give up? I liken this. My grandfather, Dan Korn was his name. We were checking him into hospice for him to pass away. We go down in the basement as we're beginning to clear out his stuff, and we find 4 golf bags of equipment. My grandfather never played golf. What in the world is he doing with 4 golf bags of stuff, right? So my mom goes to my grandfather, says, Dad, we found 4 golf bags in the bottom of your basement. What in the heck is going on with that? You never played golf. My grandfather was a car dealer. He had car dealerships in Montana. And he looked at my mom and he said, honey, before you kids came along, I was an avid golfer. In fact, I did most of my business on a golf course. But when I became a father, I met with the decision that it was either I was gonna be a good golfer or I was gonna be a good dad. And my grandfather, to his credit, I never knew he played golf. He was there to celebrate you. He was there when you had a project at home. And so dads, what do you need to give up to where you can win your family at home? Here are some of the conversations that I've had to have with myself. I had to go to some of my best friends and say, hey, from here on out, if you invite me to go fishing, to go to a ball game, to go hunting, to go to the movies, it's gonna have to be with my kids. So when you invite me, understand that you're inviting at least a few of my boys that are old enough to go. And if you can't do that, no problem. My answer is gonna be no now. Because I'm gonna involve my kids in my life. I want them to be a part. You know what's so sad, guys? Before our kids become cool and enjoy the things that we like to do, we don't involve them. And then all of a sudden, when that moment comes along that our kids are excited and into what we want to do, and we're like, dang, this is gonna be awesome. They've already checked out on us, and they've got their own group of friends, and they're doing their own thing. And we don't have a relationship. And so dads, what are you gonna have to give up to establish a lifelong relationship with your kids? You wanna know what the Bible has to say about this? John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave up his one and only son, his most valuable possession. Why? so that you and I could have a relationship with him, so that he could have an eternal relationship with each one of us. Fatherhood has a cost. What are you going to have to give up to be that epic dad?